Hello, I'm Stuart and in this video I'm going to start creating a song. The software that I'm going to be using today is Cubase 5. So what I tend to do is I first pick out a synthesizer and instrument that I want to use. In this case I'm going to start off with Vanguard. That is a good dance synthesizer. I'm going to pick out a random voice and I'm going to try to do a dance piece, maybe with some orchestral sections and that, so I have some variety in the instruments that I'm going to use. This is the piano roll, and this is where I'm going to start sequencing first couple bars of my song. So basically on that I've got a basic synthesizer track sorted out now. That kind of looks like this. And that it's going to be quite basic at this point because I'm not too sure where the song is going to go. So I'm going to at this point I'm going to play with the cutoff because this is the start of the song and I want it to be kind of down deep and not to stand out too much. So adjust the cutoff, turn the sound up. I might change the LFO speed so give you kind of phases in and out. Next I'm going to add my bass track, and again I'm going to start off quite simple and I might change the sequence several times. Now I've got my basic bass line sorted out and it kind of goes like this. With the song so far, it sounds like this. I'm going to up the filter and the cutoff on Vanguard and to make the synthesizer track stand out more and more and more as it progresses and that. So I'll join you back and once I've done that. At this stage and obviously I've added some more tracks to it and I've added in a basic drum track and that is here at the top. And that's just some hi-hats and to kind of give an intro to the drums that I'm going to use. I've added in a synthesizer and that's called sub-boom bass, and that is is a very good sub-bass synthesizer. And that'll just reinforce the bass track, and so now I've kind of got a track that sounds like this. So basically I've added in a pad and I've opened up two versions of Vanguard and I've added what's called a trance gate to it, and that's it's a type of arpeggiator that kind of gives it a stuttered effect. And if I go back to this version of Vanguard and go to the beginning of the song and I'll give an example of what it sounds like. It sounds like this. That it is very good for dance type tracks and I rarely use it because I tend to go and sequence it into my own tracks and but this is a short demonstration and so I'm going to just use it in this case. The whole song coming up to this point sounds like this. That again, it is coming up for a decent dance type of sound and maybe even trance. and that come back on that once I've added a few more tracks. So basically at this stage, and I've added in one of my favourite sequences, and that it basically is a section that goes up and then it goes down and that quite quickly, and it sounds like this. It kind of gives you an idea and that of what it sounds like. One thing that you've got to remember with Cubase and that, as I've only just done now, and that is to regularly save your projects and that, because Cubase can be extremely unstable at times. But this now sounds like this. That, you know, it needs some tweaking to it. I think the drums need tweaking. At this stage, and I've decided that the drums probably need some type of reinforcement to it, and I don't particularly like that drum loop and that I've used there, and that it's one that comes as standard on this project, and that is a house type mix. I'm going to use one from my sample directory that sounds like this. That is just a standard drum loop. I can add other samples to it as well, and now I've got an extensive library and that I can add in kicks. Yeah, it's a bit meek, but I can add in separate drums, and that can sort of change how the music sounds. At this stage, and that I'll show you one of the inserts that I regularly use, one that's called Isotope Ozone, and that this is a very good effect, and that is very good at sort of attenuating the bass frequencies and that, and other mids and trebles, and yeah, I kind of use it and that mainly for attenuating bass frequencies. So basically I'll show you on solo sort of me changing bass frequency and that, so there's a bit of an idea. So basically that just, when played back on the subwoofer system and that, it would maybe kind of give you a bit more of a hit really. But yeah, again, get back to you on that once I've added a few more tracks. So at this stage in that, I'm basically adding a piano on that with one of my favourite sampled pianos, using a program VST called Kontact 5. That kind of is, again, this piano and that, and also the sample and that is extremely good for dance type things. I know I've used it in a lot of my songs. This kind of now sounds like this. Yeah, and it's going to be a good song. Now I'm deciding that I want to add a kind of mid-8 or mid-16 section to my song, and that kind of give it a mid-section, halfway section. This really, I kind of decided at this stage this is going to be a basic song, so I'm not going to add too much. I might add a tiny bit of orchestral, but I'll come to that in a second. So basically at this point I've added some strings and some trombone using some more samples from Kontact 5. They came out too low in a mix, so I used an effect called a maximizer, and that kind of makes it louder. At this point I probably talk about some effects that I use. This is one of the more expensive effects that I've got. This is Waves IR1. There's a convolution reverb, and that it's a very good reverb, and that, and kind of give you before and after. Let's mute that. Let's strings. I try to add this to most channels and that, but Waves is very processor intensive and that, and I find if you on my PC you can run about 15 instances of it and it'll start to kind of crash the system. But unfortunately Cubase is built in reverbs and that tend to do the same thing and that, so what I do is if I've got too many tracks and that, I'll bounce a single track down and that, and I'll load it back into Cubase again and that, but without the effects, and then delete the track and that with Waves on it and that, so you end up and that with a track and that's still got the effects on it, but it's not so processor intensive. At this stage I've got the final layout of my project. It's come out to nearly about 3-minute mark and that's not too bad really, and that maybe want to try to make it too longer and that, but I don't want to draw it out too much. I want to add a bit of automation now and that onto the drums and that, so to give it a bit of a fade out and that, I might also give it a fade in at the beginning and that, so that will give a bit of a better build up to it and that, and at the end and that it kind of resolve it, and yeah, I think that doesn't sound too bad. I'm going to do my first test mix down of it, because you might find that like a lot of my projects and that, you might do an excellent cracking mix down in Cubase, and then you find that you play it back outside Cubase and that it sounds completely different. Basically it doesn't sound too bad and that, but it probably does need a few more mix downs and that before you know, before I can release it and that onto YouTube, onto my channel and that, because you know, some people are expecting and that perfection and that. I'm kind of a perfectionist myself, and if you like this video and that, obviously do like this video and that. If you don't like it, dislike it, and there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video.